for the benefit of those who might not be able to participate. Today is an aberration. From next week, we'll go back to Tuesday, okay, due to some unforeseen contingency. We were not able to meet yesterday. All right, so having said that, how are we going to conduct this class? Let me also do some housekeeping. Some students were asking me about the final project. There'll be no final project. You will have a midterm, possibly, but definitely there'll be a final exam. So don't worry about the project. I'm going to modify the syllabus to take it out. So we're going to have these lectures every Tuesday. So to guide you with the assignment. So for today, I'm going to basically introduce what we will study, and I would sort of like do the discussion. There's a discussion question, and I just want to give you an idea of how statistics is done and how you need to answer the question and the kind of critical thinking that needs to go into the question. If you've already answered it, don't worry about it. Because it's a discussion, many students will come up with all kinds of different ideas about how to approach a problem, but I will go through a critical thinking process to give you an idea of how the question should have been answered. But then that will inform the rest of the semester and the way I want you to look at things, okay? All right. So having said that, the question then you ask yourself, what is this class about? This is an intermediate level course in business, applied business statistics, an intermediate level class. And in that regard, it's assumed that you have already had an introductory class in business statistics. And having had an introductory class in business statistics, the expectation is that we will not repeat what we did in statistics 1. We will kind of go through a quick review, and then we will focus on inferential statistics. So now we say we will focus on inferential statistics. So what is inferential statistics? Now there are two branches of statistics. The first one is very simple. It's called descriptive statistics. And then we have inferential statistics. So descriptive statistics is just a summary of the averages and the characteristics of the data, okay? Now, when you say characteristics of the data, it's different from the characteristics of the variables. So we're gonna talk about that very, very quickly. Okay, so once you go beyond descriptive statistics, which is the summary of the data, we then use that summary data to do what we call inferential statistics. Okay. So what's inferential? Now, in statistical analysis, before I then go and describe inferential statistics, I want to then first of all define statistics. Define statistics. What is statistical analysis? Okay. What is statistical analysis? Statistical analysis is the collection and organizing and analysis of unorganized mass data. Now, make note of what I said about statistical analysis. The collection and analysis of unorganized mass data. So why do we say mass data? Okay, what do we say mass data? Mass, there's a lot of data, large quantities of data. So the reason we say mass data is quite simply because everything that we do on a daily basis, events in our surroundings and events in the whole world, everything provides data. When you wake up this morning, did you wake up at 7 a.m.? Did you wake up at 8:15? Did you wake up at 9 a.m.? Did you wake up at noon? All of that is data. What you ate, did you eat before you left your house? Did you leave your house today? What kind of transportation that did you take? Okay. From Ben to everyone, hey, Vic. Okay. Victor? Hello?
Yes, I'm here, Professor. I just got my microphone on mute, but I'm here.
Okay. All right, fine and good. Everything that you do generates data. Everything that happens generates data. Okay? I mean, if you go to a restaurant and the restaurant sells you lunch for $7, that is data right there. If 20 people come to a restaurant today, that is data. Everything that happens is data. But the point is, this data is not organized. It's there. It's there. And so the job or the objective of the statistician is to collect this data. And the whole idea is that the data is useful for us to understand our environment, to make decisions, to analyze problems, and then decide how to solve the problems. So the data is not there waiting for you and set up in a way that you can use it. That's the whole idea. When you wake up, you eat your food. Whether or not you eat food is really your decision. And so you are not eating your food at 7 a.m. in the morning or at 9 a.m. because you want to make it easy for somebody to analyze your data. No. But somebody could have an interest in knowing the typical time that people wake up in the morning and why they wake up. And so now you begin to go and collect this data that is unorganized. That is the whole idea. You go and collect the data that is unorganized. So, so then what are the steps in statistical analysis? Okay, the steps, first of all, is to define a problem. That's the first step. A restaurant manager wants to know, what is the average expenditure of customers that come to my restaurant? You could say, is there a difference between how much the male customers spend compared to the female customers? What is the difference between customers that come from out of town and customers that are living in town? Or what is the percentage of my customers that are out of town or out of the neighborhood? That is a problem that you define, okay? So you want to solve that problem. And you will have a reason for wanting to find out about what you are looking for. So then you go to the next step. The next step, I'm sorry, my video was flickering this earlier today, so I turned it off. So now the next question then is, in order to address the problem that you have defined, how do you go about addressing the problem that you have defined? All right, so the next step then is to define, I would say, to identify the variables. And what's a variable? A variable is a value that changes from one observation to another. Okay, so you have 1,000 customers. The first customer spends $7 for lunch. The next customer spends $9 for lunch. The next customer spends $2. The next customer spends $15. Okay, so how much does a typical customer spend? That is a variable. It's a variable because different customers spend different amounts. And they don't do it to please you. They do it maybe because that's how much they have. Maybe they want to eat a lot, and so they give priority to spending money in a restaurant. okay, whatever it is, you define that variable, okay? And then if you want to get other information, you define other variables. You can define the gender, okay? That's a variable, okay? What is the distribution of gender? You can define another variable. Where are they coming from, okay? What is their age? Those are variables. And the whole idea of defining variables is that you want to be sure, you want to be confident that the data you are collecting is going to help you solve your problem. The person in the restaurant will not ask a customer or will not try to collect data on the variable, what was the age of your great-great-grandmother before, or your great-great-grandfather before he passed away. It will not be useful. It will be useful to ask, what is the age of your customer? Because if you know the age, you can collect data and break the data down to ask yourself, do people of different ages spend different kinds of money, different amounts of money in this restaurant, or even eat different types of food? Is there a difference based on age? And so you can ask about the age. You can look at the agenda. That is a variable that you collect data on. Okay, so once you define the variables, then you define a process for collecting the data. And then you collect the data. After you collect the data, you organize the data, because when you organize data, it helps you to really analyze your problem, your data in a useful way. And after you organize the data, then you summarize the data. That is where you have inferential, where you have your descriptive statistics. You summarize the data. You can differentiate between males and females. You can differentiate between income groups. You can differentiate between origins of customers. And you calculate the average amounts spent. You can calculate the average age. You can calculate the percentage of each gender. Those are all summaries, okay? And so that is your descriptive statistics. But then, how do we go from there to inferential statistics? Now, inferential statistics is where you use information from a sample in order to make judgments or inferences about the population. So now, question is, where does sample come? Where does population come? Now, population is when you count every member of the subject of interest. For example, if you count every house in Brooklyn, you have defined the population of houses in Brooklyn. You count every member of the subject of interest, okay? And the subject of interest is houses in Brooklyn. Now, sample is when you take a subset of the population. Suppose we ask ourselves, we want to find out the average travel time of Medgar Evers College registered students when they come to school. What is the average travel time? Now, if you now collect data on every single registered Medgar Evers College student who came to school today, you have defined a population. All the students that came to school today. If you collect data on every single one of them, you have collected data on the population. And the calculations you make are called the true summaries. For example, if you calculate the average of every single Medgar Evers College registered student that came to school today, then you have calculated the population average, and it's often called the true average, because there's no other average. Since everybody has been counted, if you get an average income or an average travel time, that is the true average. Now, the other side of it is, suppose you decide to take a subset, the first 40 students that arrived out of 1,000. The first 40 students that arrive on campus, you ask them, how long did it take you to travel to school today? You have a sample because the first 40 students will just be a subset, okay? Or you randomly go and ask 40 students, you came to school today? Yes. How long did it take you to get to school? There you have a sample, okay? So why do we use sample in statistical analysis? We use sample in statistical analysis for a number of reasons. One is that sometimes it's difficult to define the population. Suppose you think about a fish pond. If you think about a fish pond, you may not be able to effectively, accurately say exactly how many fish spawn in an area. All right? If you think about the population of Brooklyn, really what you have is not the population because people move in and out of Brooklyn every day. So if you go today and count how many people live in Brooklyn, it will be different from tomorrow. It will be different from last year, okay? So sometimes it's difficult to define the population. Sometimes trying to get information about the population could be very expensive, could be very time-consuming. And if it's time-consuming, then by the time you get information on the population, the decision that you want to make has been overtaken by events. The value of the data has been overtaken by events. Or sometimes it could just be extremely costly to get population data. So you use information from a sample to make inferences about the population. All right? And so, as I said, this class will focus on inferential statistics. And so we're going to be using, for most of the class, we're going to use information from the sample to make judgments, make inferences about the population. All right. So, having said that, what are the topics we're going to begin with here? We will summarize descriptive statistics, we'll review it, and then we will introduce inferential statistics. And inferential statistics will be where we talk about hypothesis testing for one population, hypothesis testing for two populations, and hypothesis testing for three or more populations. And then we will undertake other topics, okay? I will post announcements every week about what you are required to do for that week. I will then read your papers. Every assignment must be submitted on Blackboard. Okay, please do not send me an email explaining to me how you missed the deadline. I will reopen the assignment for you and you can submit it on Blackboard. All right. Having said that, does anybody have any question?
Yeah, I have a question regarding one of the questions on the quiz for this week. I don't remember if it's has the time expired already on the quiz before I access?
No, it will be on Friday.
Okay, so should I ask this question because I think there may have been wrong on the test. It said which one of the following is referred to as the population mean, and I think it marked all the answers that I tried as wrong, but the first answer was statistic, the second answer was a quarter with a question mark, the third one was a sample, and the final answer was none of the above. I thought the answer was a statistic, but it marked that and all the other ones is wrong.
Okay, what number was that?
It was 13. Question number 13. Which one of the following is referred to as the population mean?
Okay, let me see if I can find it.
Yep.
If I'm not mistaken, Ben, I think that's the symbol.
When you say the symbol, you mean the one that said 1 1/4 with a question mark? Or maybe we're talking about different questions, but I'm not sure because I read all the answers. Or did you mean to say the sample? I didn't hear what you said just now.
No, I'm saying for that question that has the question mark as one of the answers, the symbol and the question mark, I think is 1.25. I think I think that's the answer. If I'm not mistaken, I'm not 100% sure.
You could be correct,
but I think so.
Right. Well, I don't even understand why that would be the answer.
Yeah, because when I did it, I did the same thing. My first choice, to be honest, was statistical. That was my first choice. And then when I retried it again, because I just didn't know what the symbol was, I do remember clicking it just to see. And if I'm not mistaken, I think I got it right. If I'm not mistaken, to be honest. But I can't explain why is that. So I guess
like I wouldn't know why that was right either.
Okay, I will. That's a good conversation there.
But just from your own knowledge, what should, even if the correct answer is not there, what should the answer be?
Yeah, because you guys answered the question from a random process, so I have to go one by one to see if I can catch up with the question. So just give me another 30 seconds.
Okay, sorry.
That's fine. Which of the following is referred to as the population mean? Okay. Which of the following is referred to as the population mean? The statistic? Is it 1/4? Is it sample? Is it none of the above? No, the sample is not the population mean because the sample is just a group. The statistic is really comes from the sample. Okay, so I'm going to go back and find out exactly why you were having problems. Okay, if you read, I mean, one answer has to be correct. Okay. Okay. I mean, the answer should be the 1/4 with the question mark. Okay. Because the statistic is what you get out of the sample. If you read carefully. The sample, which of the following is referred to as the population mean? It has to be a number.
Oh, okay. Wait, I think is this supposed to be like an example? Like
yes.
1/4. Oh, okay. I wasn't understanding the question then.
Yeah. It has to be the number.
I thought they were looking for the definition of a population mean. So no. I think the first thing I put was none of the above. And then I put statistic, and then I put sample, and then I just stopped.
Okay.
Okay, so I just...
So that's the answer to that. So does anybody have any other question? All right. So now I want us to go through a process of statistical reasoning. Not really statistical reasoning, but let us go through the process, how to reason in statistical analysis. So I'm going to go to the discussion forum. Okay, so let us have a conversation about that discussion. The week 1 discussion. It says the tumbling after real estate. Okay, would like to explain whether there are differences in the prices of houses in two locations. So you're looking at two locations, Eastville and Apple Valley, okay? Now, Jack and Jill have explained to their area manager, Fellow Water, that any differences in the prices of houses in the two districts can be explained by buyers' preferences for Apple Valley School District. The manager feels, though, that the differences in house prices could be explained by the differences in the average ages or sizes of houses in two districts. Now, let us think about this question. Okay, let us think about this question. Now, you look at houses, say, in Brooklyn and then in the Bronx, and you ask yourself, is there any reason why house prices are different? Or why, why the price of houses are different, okay? And in this case, the manager feels that the differences that, could be explained by differences in the average ages or sizes. Saying in effect, for example, if you go to Borough Park and compare the prices of houses in Borough Park, okay? Square inch for square inch, they are different from, square foot per square foot, or square foot by square foot. They are different from the prices of houses in Staten Island. So what is the explanation? Or if you come to two neighborhoods in Staten Island, the price of houses, square foot compared to square foot, will be different in one neighborhood than in the other neighborhood. So a manager says, no, it's because houses on one side are bigger than houses on the other side. But Jack and Jill are saying houses in one side are higher because there's a preference. Customers prefer houses to live on the other side, okay? And so this is why house prices in that particular neighborhood are higher. So there's a strictly arbitrary preference. There's nothing to do with price. It has nothing to do with size. It has nothing to do with age. But it could be that the differences, if there are differences in the prices, that the explanation could be age. Because maybe houses way back then were built stronger, and so customers want to buy houses on that side. It could be because, what do you call it? The security in the neighborhood is better in one than in the other, okay? So the question then is, how do you go about investigating this question? That is, it says, use the information in the table below to answer the questions raised by Jack and Jill. List all the questions that should be answered to resolve the issues. And when I ask these questions, students just say, oh, the differences could be explained by so and so. But you are actually restating the question. How would you go about the process of investigating the question? I'm not asking you to explain why, not yet, okay? I said, describe the procedural process by which you are going to reach your conclusion. What are you going to do? My two good friends.
Can I go?
Yes, yes.
What I ended up doing, Professor, I did a hypothesis test against all the houses. So at the moment, I don't know how to do a hypothesis test for three variables. I don't know how to do it. So I just did a two mean hypothesis test for each category, and I just pinned each house against each other. So I did house 1 and house 2, then I did neighborhood 1 and neighborhood 2, then I did neighborhood 2 and neighborhood 3, and then I did neighborhood 3 and neighborhood 1. And
but in this particular discussion, we are looking at only two neighborhoods.
Oh, so that might be the homework. I apologize. So for that,
so you were doing the homework.
Yeah.
Okay.
So for that one,
and I didn't ask for hypothesis test yet. You're already going to inferential statistics, but it's fine and good if you already have the skills, because if you did statistics 1, then you did hypothesis testing. Now, the question for this particular discussion is, how would you go about investigating the question that these 3 people are asking? What would be the process? What would be the steps? The data has already been collected. The data has been organized, okay? And so how would you go about trying to answer the questions? Why is it that prices of houses are different in the 2 neighborhoods? How would you go about investigating whether it is pure arbitrary preference or whether it is due to differences in size or age?
Let me just jump in real quick.
Okay.
The first thing that I noticed about Jack and Jill's assessment was it wasn't based on any actual data that we can see in front of us. They just made a claim that it was due to the better school districts in Apple Valley, substantiated by nothing. So if you want to investigate that claim, the first thing I would do is get a sample of Apple Valley and maybe have a survey of people stating their top reasons and ranking them in order, like their top 3 or 5 reasons for purchasing a home in Apple Valley. So we could at least have some data to look at and see if their statements are accurate.
Okay. All right. Are you done?
I'm done with that part. In terms of investigating the claim of the manager, we could simply just look at the mean of the age of homes and the size of homes in each neighborhood, and look at the price and see if they're correlated.
Okay, what do you mean by correlated?
Well, we could look at let's see. I'm trying to remember how to do the correlation, but we could look at the price of the home. Look at okay. Well, before I get to correlation, we could just simply eyeball, look at the mean, and see if it makes sense in terms of. Well, let me just see what I wrote here. Look at the mean value of the prices of in each home in each town. But what I noted in the what I also noted was looking at the mean isn't enough to make an accurate assessment, because sometimes there can be outlier data.
Okay, fine and good. Okay, so you're getting there. Okay. Now, 2 people are saying the difference in price is because one person is saying no, it's just arbitrary. Okay, because people prefer that. Another person said no, it's because houses on one side are bigger than houses on the other side. So the first thing you ask yourself is, are the average price of houses truly different? You calculate and see, are the average price of houses truly different? Now, what if there is no difference in the average price of houses? What if exactly the average price of house in one neighborhood is 150,000 and the average price of house in the other neighborhood is 150,000, right? So then you're saying to yourself, there's nothing to investigate. There is no difference in the prices. Before your investigation moves forward, you first of all have to go and find out if there are differences in prices. If there are no differences in prices, then what the heck? Why are you going to even find out whether there's any something is explained? There's nothing to explain. That's the first thing. Then suppose you actually see that there's a difference in prices. Then you move to the next step. The next step, then you ask yourself, is there a difference in the average age? Or is there a difference in average size? If there's no difference in average age, or there's no difference in average size, then you say to yourself, well, I find there's a difference in prices, but the ages are not different. The average size of house is not different. So that means that the difference in price is explained by something else. That's how to go about it.
But Professor, quick question.
Yes.
What if, okay, as I was kind of saying before, like let's say there's a certain area within the neighborhood where 10 houses sell in the millions and it throws off the data. Shouldn't we also look at the median home value price just to see?
You can do that, yes.
All right, that's all.
You can do that. Okay. But the first thing is to find out if there's any true difference in the prices. If there's none, then there's nothing to investigate. Now, if your objective is to simply say, well, houses in one neighborhood are older than houses in another, then that's a whole different investigation. You're not trying to explain their prices, you're just trying to find out average age or average size. Okay? All right. So that is how to reason in statistics is you define the problem. Like you said, define the problem. What problem are you trying to solve? If you go in there and you find out that the problem you think you're trying to solve is not there, then you have nothing to investigate. But if the problem is there, then you investigate and ask yourself, what explains this problem? All right? Okay, so do you have any other question? Like I said, if you already did the discussion, don't worry about it, because I'm not going to grade you on how accurately you answer the question. I'm just going to look at your insights. I see, for example, somebody already answered the homework assignment. It's fine. Let's look at what the homework assignment said. It simply says, use the Excel command to calculate the average age in each neighborhood and save the new file. Okay, so somebody says, what do you think? Okay, John Carlos argues that houses in these Staten Island neighborhoods sell at about the same average price. What do you think? Okay, okay, fine. So you calculate the averages. That's all I wanted to do there. And would you rather say to Carlos that the price per square foot is about the same regardless of neighborhood? I expect you just to be intuitive here because we have not got to the point where we are not doing information statistics. What I'm trying to get you to achieve here is just plain descriptive statistics. You summarize the prices, show me a table, and then you can use your own imagination and give us an insight into what you think. Because right now it is, what do you think? Very soon we will get into how to test what you think. You understand that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes, I understand.
All right. Okay. Any other questions? Housekeeping question?
No questions from me.
All right. Okay, guys. I am glad you attended. So from next week, it's going to be Tuesday. Of course, as usual, I'm going to send an announcement so everybody knows what we're doing. All right.
Got it. Have a good evening, Professor.
You too. Everybody enjoy your evening.
Okay, Professor. Enjoy your night. Good night.
All right.